So people are still joining, but I think we can already start because we're recording this webinar. So hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Mailbutler's new AI-powered feature Smart Assistant. I'm Toby. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mailbutler. And next to me, you can see James, our content marketing manager. We, and especially the development team, we worked very hard the last weeks and months actually to get the early access version ready for you. And now the Smart Assistant is finally available for all of you, and we can't wait to get your feedback. So during the webinar, if you have any questions, please simply use the chat window here, and we will try to answer all your questions at the end of this presentation. As I mentioned at the beginning as well, we are also recording this webinar, and you will receive it via email within the next days, probably tomorrow. So you can rewatch whenever you need it. But before we talk about the Smart Assistant and its feature set, let's briefly talk about artificial intelligence in general. So artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence by computer systems. Our Smart Assistant feature is using one of the most powerful AIs on the market. You might already heard about the company OpenAI. It's a company behind the very popular service ChatGPT. So the AI we are using is called GPT-3. It has been trained on a large data set of text, which, for example, includes everything from news articles, books, scientific papers, Wikipedia, and many, many other sources of text. And it's important to note that the AI only know information which were available until June 2021. So this actually very, very powerful artificial intelligence allows our smart assistant to understand the context of emails and generate human-like email responses. And this power enables us to develop all kinds of different inbox features for you, but more about it later. Next, let's quickly also talk about the benefits and limitations of artificial intelligence. So there are many different benefits of AI, and it would take me actually very long to mention all of them. And there will be even many more benefits in the near future, because at the moment, the developments of AI is so fast. But in general, you can say that AI is increasing your efficiency by saving a lot of time, improving accuracy, and saving you costs by automating processes. But besides all these benefits, it's also important to mention that there are a few limitations for AI, at least at the moment. The first limitation is that AI can't understand all the nuances of human language and communication. So AI often fail to understand sarcasm or irony, for example. Another limitation of AI is that AI is not capable of using creativity or emotion decision-making. This means AI technologies can't come up with original solutions to problems. This is simply not possible. But most importantly, AI technologies can sometimes produce correct sounding answers, which are completely wrong. So it's very important for us that you're aware of these kind of limitations, especially when using the Smart Assistant. So when you get a response from our Smart Assistant, you always need to double check the emails before sending them out, or double check the created task. So in the end, our Smart Assistant is acting as an assistant in your inbox, working for you. It will not replace or fully automate, not replace you or fully automate your email communication. So, but now let's come to the interesting part of this webinar about our new feature, Smart Assistant. And the current version of the Smart Assistant, which is actually the first version of the Smart Assistant, comes with 6 sub-features, which you can all see listed here on this slide. For example, let's start. There's a there's a feature to compose a full email based on a short input from your side. So you just provide some context and the smart assistant is composing a full email for you. Or it allows you to respond to an email in just a few clicks. There's also a feature to summarize long emails, so you don't need to read the full email anymore, or to improve your writing when you decide to write the email by yourself. And there's also a feature to find contact information of the sender inside the email or potential tasks inside your emails. Yeah, but let's see these features in action now. James will now give you a live demo of all the Smart Assistant features you can see listed here. He's going to use his Apple Mail inbox for the demo, but the Smart Assistant looks exactly the same in Outlook and Gmail because it's located in Mailbutler sidebar, which is the same in all front ends. Okay, so James, you can take over now, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Tobias. So yeah, here we are in the Apple Mail inbox. As Tobias said, it's the same in Gmail and in Outlook. Before you start using the Smart Assistant, the first thing you'll need to do is to enable it. So open up the Mailbutler sidebar with the button up here, head down to the cog and then to Account and Preferences, and navigate to the General tab. And up here in the top right, you'll see, do you want to get early access to future features? So you just have to turn that on. And bear in mind, this is still in early access at the moment. So there may be some bugs or some problems with it still, and we'll get to feedback at the end of the demo. The other thing that you might have to do is head down to the Privacy tab, and then you'll have to accept, do you want to grant Mailbutler access to your email's content? Now, at Mailbutler, we never access or read your emails ever. We never store them. But for the Smart Assistant to work, it will have to have access to the emails that you want it to function on. So any email that you use the feature with, the Smart Assistant will have access to. But your privacy is still completely protected. So after you've done that, now I can get into the actual features. So over here in the sidebar, you'll see that there are 4 different buttons, and this is the Smart Assistant. But there are 2 more, which you'll only find when you head to your Compose window. You'll see here that you've got Compose and Improve. So I'll start with Compose. So when you click this, a small field will appear, and here you can enter some prompts, and the Smart Assistant will just immediately write an email for you. So I'm just going to put in follow up on a late invoice, and then you just hit the Compose button, and after a few moments, you'll automatically get an email written for you based on the prompt that you put in. So you can see here, then you insert it with this button, and I'll just insert it so it's a little easier to read, make it a little bit bigger. So here it says, for example, I'm writing to follow up on the invoice that I sent you. I haven't yet received payment, but I know that sometimes things can slip through the cracks. So it writes friendly for you. You can also change the tone of the email just by writing the tone that you want again in the field. And as Tobias mentioned before, make sure that you always check what the Smart Assistant's written. It is an assistant. It's not meant to replace you, like you mentioned, so make sure that everything's correct. And in this example, you'll obviously have to include the date yourself, unless you include it in the field. So that's just a simple example, but the Smart Assistant can also use technical language. It's been trained basically up until 2021. So it knows a lot of stuff. So say I write an email to Bill Gates, describing how I can improve Microsoft's SEO strategy. And then this should write for me a slightly longer email, which will use more technical language and hopefully give me quite a good SEO strategy for Microsoft. So insert it, again, make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to read. So as a digital marketing specialist, I have extensive experience in SEO, etc., etc. Here I have a few ideas that I believe could help Microsoft improve their SEO strategy. Then the Smart Assistant talks about creating content, optimizing that content, keywords, descriptions, focus on creating a strategy. So you can see that it does have technical knowledge, for want of a better word. It can help you with emails like that, at least help you phrase them. But again, just to reiterate, make sure that everything that it writes you check, because as Tobias said, it will always try and give you an answer, even if that answer is wrong, and it will think that that answer is correct. So that's the first feature. Then, for example, I've got an email here, which is Tobias asking me to go to a meeting with him on Thursday at 11 o'clock. And this is where we come to the Smart Reply feature. So you can see it in the sidebar again. And if you click on the drop-down arrow, you'll get reply positively or reply negatively. So I'll do reply negatively this time, and it will craft me an email which says, sorry, I can't make the meeting at 11 o'clock. And then you can see that it says that here, and underneath, could we arrange another time that would be more suitable? And again, the same with Smart Compose. You simply open up the draft, make any edits you need to, and you're good to go. Then there's one more to do with writing emails. So in my drafts, I've got this email here, which I've written. Again, just make it a little bit bigger. And you can see I've made some spelling mistakes. There's a grammatical error at the end. And over here, there's the improve button. And if you click on this, the Smart Assistant will give you some, well, it will completely improve the email for you. So you can see over here that all of the spelling and grammar mistakes have been completely corrected. Then you can just simply replace the text in the email yourself. So those are the three composition-based features. Here now in my inbox, I've got quite a long email from Tobias, and it could be that maybe you get a lot of these long emails every single day, and it takes a long time to read them and go through them. So that's where the summarize feature comes in. So if you click on this button, it will give you a summary that's shorter than the email, but which contains what the Smart Assistant believes is the most important information. The longer the email, the longer it'll take, but it still only takes a few moments. And so you can see here that the email provides an update on the progress of a project, which is on track, that there's been some delays, but they've been able to overcome them, etc., etc. And from here, you can then immediately create a note from that, so a Mailbutler note, and then of course you can go in and edit that if you need to make it shorter and share it. On top of the summarize feature, which creates notes, you can also find tasks in emails. So I'll go back to this follow-up one, and if I click on the to-dos button over here, then it will give me a short list of tasks that it finds in the email. So you can see that there's prepare for meeting, request notes from James. This is what Tobias has asked me. And you'll also see up here that there's one which is a little bit wrong. And again, this, because it's artificial intelligence, it's always necessary to check that everything that it pulls out of the email is correct. So when there's one that's wrong like this, you can just deselect it, and then you won't create that. And then when you click create, you'll have a list of 3 or however many tasks you've selected that you want to make. And as always, you can then set a reminder, automate them, or share them exactly as you would be able to do with a Mailbutler task that you'd made yourself. Then the final feature is the contact information feature. So it does what it says on the tin. You click it and it will scan the message for whatever contact information it finds. And as with the tasks, you can then click and pick which bits you want to save or not. So say I don't need to save Tobias's address, I can just deselect that. And then when you save the info, it will save as a Mailbutler contact. So bear in mind, this is a Mailbutler contact. If you then need this as some other type of contact, you can export it as a CVS file. So those are the 6 core features. There's just one more thing to add. If you go back into account and preferences and back to the general tab, say you notice something that you think is a bug, or you have any suggestions for improvements or new features, any feedback at all, up here in this early access place, you'll be able to just click on provide feedback. You'll get sent to a type form, and here you can just give any feedback that you like at all. And yeah, just a couple more things. It can do different languages. So you could write, for example, back in the compose window, you could give a prompt here in German. It's not as good in German because the AI that we're using has been mostly trained with English, but you can do it. If your prompt's a little bit longer, it usually works better. And it also does French and Spanish and other languages too. And I think that's it. I'll pass back over to Tobias. Yeah, so just a quick summary. These are the 6 features again that I mentioned. It can write and respond to emails for you, summarize and improve emails, and then find contacts and tasks. And all of that it does from the sidebar.
Yeah, thank you very much, James. So now we already come to the part of the question and answers. I think there were already some questions in the chat, and Tiffany was so nice to collect them all in a separate document. Let me quickly open it. Here we are. So James actually just answered the first question. Does it also work in other languages? Yes, it does. I think it does pretty well. Like James said, not that perfectly like in English, but it's, of course, it's useful, very useful actually. The thing is, only if the email or the input is very, very short, let's say you just provide like 3 to 5 words in your language, then the AI not always automatically detects the language. So if you are not using English, try to provide at least 5 to 6 words when composing an email. Just a tip from my side. But we are currently trying to improve that even further to improve that language detection. If I ask to improve an email and then insert text within the email, it does not substitute the original mail, but it adds the text to the email. How can I change this? Yeah, this is actually a bug which already has been reported lately and is already fixed in the beta version. We are going to release a new version of the early access version in 2 to 3 weeks, which removes all of these obvious bugs. Yeah, and also, of course, adds a lot of improvements to the smart assistant as well.
The next question about automating tasks. I've just posted a link in the chat to a video that we made which explains that automation update and shows you exactly what that means and what it does. It's not related to the smart assistant. It's an update that we had, I think maybe 7 or 8 months ago. But you can always reach out if there's any more questions on that, and head to our support center, and there's articles on that too.
Yeah, there are even automations for send later as well, and other features. So are there more questions? James and I, we will stay at least for another 5 minutes here to answer all your questions. So feel free to write them into the chat. Also provide feedback, would be also nice. Let me quickly open the chat window here for myself. I work in Dutch, try now. So one user is reporting that it's AI to work in Dutch. Try copy paste into deeper. So you don't need to use a translator. We can of course look into that as well, especially for Dutch, but I think it should work. As I said before, try to provide more context. Yeah, especially Dutch is a mix a little bit of English and German, so it's maybe hard to recognize for the AI. James, your link is not working. You sent to the video.
That's weird. It opens for me.
But we can definitely also send it via email
Yeah.
after this webinar. Yeah. So as I said, we will stay here for the rest. If you want to leave now, thank you very much for joining. I hope you liked what you see, and we can't wait actually to hear your feedback. And keep in mind, this is an early access version. So if there's a bug or a problem, or if you have ideas for improvement, just let us know. Yeah, thank you all for your nice messages.
One more person writing, it looks like.
Yeah.
Positive feedback.
A lot of positive feedback. Good. There's no one typing anymore. So again, thank you all and have a nice day and talk to you very soon. And special thanks to James and Tiffany for organizing this webinar.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.